truth and not somebody else dictating to you how to do your thing, which you know how to do better than anybody else.
I binge watched some videos of a subscriber of mine, and I really enjoyed them thoroughly because they were quirky, they were unedited, they were lighthearted and comedic, but they were also very honest, transparent, and informative. This person obviously had done their research and applied it consistently. Which is the key. And the video that really made me love this guy was him talking about hoarding plants. Now, he used hoard, and that might be accurate across the board for hobbies that get out of control, because there's always maintenance, there's always cost, there's time. Even if it's collecting books, you need space. Over time, you need to dust them. So even if you have a hobby that is just collecting things to go on the shelf, you aren't going to let them collect dust and spider webs, especially if they're in your house, which brings us back to why it can become a problem. And it might seem like hoarding when you're collecting and you're having to forfeit your areas in favor of your orchids. And that comes with the same maintenance. When you grow orchids in your home, they're like house plants. If you grow them in your greenhouse, you can care as you would in your house, but generally they're grown more organically, more naturally, under controlled controlled circumstances, which mimic. So, because they're in a space that is designated, there's less fussiness, although it's the same thing. As far as the fussiness, the plant development, even if the plant blooms and you've had the plant forever, if it looks tatty, like a lot of my plants do, then you have to accept it for what it is. You have to go either 100, 200, you have to go full in with orchids. And that includes the money, space, time, resources, utilities, and the deeper you get into the hobby, the more exotic and rare the plants are. Most of those are sensitive to salts and even just the quality of the water. And that requires another level, which is rainwater investment up to the RO system, which on a scale, the rain barrel, of course, no maintenance. RO is generally across the board universally preferred, or as the gold standard, as is Super Thrive and Orchiata, whatever. So therein is a level. I have a rain barrel. I am a granola grower. I don't test my plants for viruses. But there is another level of maintenance that is a cost, that is a time factor, depending on your collection. And generally, when you are in it, you have at least 100. In the video that I was watching, I don't know how many he had, but they were all inside in different areas of his living space, which I believe he was in someone else's space. But despite that, having very just surprisingly very excellent success. I mean, very, leaves are firm, and he notices the roots and the medium. And, you know, he minds his poo, and he cleans up the area, he does all the things that you need to do. But he also realizes the strain that it causes on your body, your mental health, the daunting task of preparing your plants for wintertime when they've had such a great growth season, and to even prepare is daunting.
Hi, welcome back to My Life with Plants. If you don't know me, my name's Newman, and today is kind of going to be a difficult process to go through. This is actually not my room. I've been using it to house or to keep a lot of my tropical plants. A lot of these have to go now, or they have to be moved. And I've got a few ideas to take care of that. Also, I'm going to be trimming up this big old Hoya Bella. Yeah, I'm going to take care of that too. and also I have a lot of hanging plants to move around. So this is kind of I've been tidying up in here many times, trying to keep it tidy, but as you know, and everybody else goes through this too, the hoarding and the collecting of plants. You can get to the point where you don't realize just how much you're accumulating and how terrible it is, even though that somewhere in your mind you can't see the problem, but actually there is a problem. It's called hoarding. There's a lot of stuff here that I just can't let go of. It's just so difficult for me. This Phalaenopsis here, I'm going to try to keep it in the living room and then move it during the day towards the window. Hopefully it keeps out of everybody's way and they don't get irritated.
Why should you? Why should you?
I cannot get rid of it. It's too difficult for me to get rid of such a plant. Some other plants like pothos is not a big deal because it's in plentiful supply and I don't feel so bad. But then again, I do, because I grew that from cuttings. I've got a much bigger one up here. I think I'm going to
trim it a little bit and then bring it to the living room.
make and take cuttings off it and give it away to people at work. Anyway, today is the day, one of the hardest days for me. So join me as I is it's just so difficult for me. This Phalaenopsis here, I'm going to try to keep it in the living room and then move it during the day. And okay, now that and start again. Anyway, we'll be doing this and fast forward. Today is the day, one of the hardest days for me. Washed its leaves, and like always, I took the hose off here, wash it. What do you know? I do the spill. Always got to do that, don't we? Gosh. Oh. So a small job becomes a big job. Gotta say, it's looking good. Huh? So green. Okay. Now that I have wiped that, and of course this here. Accidents happen. Finally use this towel. Yep. Nothing that you can't fix. So I'm still enjoying myself, even though this is not one of my favorite days.
because you have to do it. And generally, it's under the gun because most orchid growers want to hold out for the last night before they have to put their plants in. Because the grow season is such a small window for us in the north that we have to bring our plants back in. But it can be done, but it does require a lot. And if you get out of control, then it can seem like you are hoarding plants. I would say, instead of hoarding plants, your eyes have gotten bigger than your stomach, if that makes you cannot, when you get to a certain point per level, you can't just impulse shop, especially when you have limited space. It is so easy. You have to set limits on yourself. And you can accomplish that by doing and sticking with certain principles, such as buying plants that only have tags and doing your research, having a list, knowing when to stop buying that plant, and knowing when you've reached your limit. Most of us have to work, and most of us get old, and then we die. And when you get to be my age, and I used to be an athlete and very physical, so all of that kind of is coming back to haunt me, even though I still have lots of desire to be physical and exert lots of energy, and that is what is required when you have an orchid collection that is a sizable collection. Just the lifting and the moving and the repotting and the bending and straightening and organizing, moving the plant towards the sun and making sure that there's adequate space. It's a lot. Even getting on your toes to reach up to get plants that are hanging up. It's all stress. And sometimes we don't realize it until you're overwhelmed. And I think that's at the point where you sort of question yourself and your ability. But I think once you come down to reality, maybe you do need to let a few plants pass or give them away if they become lost or aren't responding. But surely I think that even if you're the king of Prussia or a Habsburg, at some point you'll reach the age to where you have to back off, because you will be, even if you live in a castle, you will be confined to a small part of that castle. Therefore, you will not be able to care for 1,000 orchids, and your help will not care for them as you do. So any intelligent and environmentally conscious person who is into conservation and preserving the botany and the planet and those things, et cetera, have to at some point think that after so many attempts, it's time to let somebody else have a shot rather than depleting that rare resource. And that's wherein I think a hoarding or greedy glutton, unless you're propagating, selling, if you're just a hobby and you're buying 5 plants the first time and then 5 more after you kill them, give it up, because you know it's going to be the same result, especially if you're not changing your conditions. You have to know your limits and set them and stick with them, or else what you and others, and even myself, might look at from the outside as beautiful and a jungle and perfect and full. Their inner voice is saying, too much. I hate to be you. Sucks to be you. Wait till you get old. Not me. It's nice to visit here, but I wouldn't want to take care of it for a week. That's what I would say. And that's what I've been told by people that come to my greenhouse. So, anyway, and I'm not in Florida with palm trees to hang my plants on and walk away, or just go dive in the pool and come up and do a 360 and just see all those Vandas and you don't even know the names. They're just pretty. And you smile as you get out in your 2-piece and your white, ivory white teeth, pearl white, and get the towel from your fat, old Greek tycoon whose belly is all you see, and trunk legs, but she's got the orchids. Anyway, at some point you get old and you have to keep that 100% involvement and commitment. You can't, even when you are like I am, going to chiropractors and hip surgeries being recommended and this, that, and the other. You have to accept the fact that the physical and the repetitious nature of orchids, and especially as your knowledge and your experience, your collection grows, it gets bigger, the plants get larger, and the mounts in the pots get heavier. And that's on you. So when you're 60, it starts to get a little tougher. The winters get in your bones. The summers get a little bit hot. You sweat too much. You need to take more breaths. Breaths, not breathlessness. And it's more tasking. So, you really have to keep focused, committed, consistency. Number 1, research, knowledge, no impulse buying. And you should be able to successfully keep stress-free or stay stress-free about the ability, your ability to maintain successfully while not breaking down your body. It is a hobby. It's not forever. Your body is the only body you have, and your mental health is all you've got. So it is a hobby. Your body is not. Anyway, thanks, Newman. And you inspired me. Hopefully you all like this. Thanks for watching or listening. But despite that and his success, plants are beautiful, really. Despite that, he has stress and is very honest about it. And that made me love him even more.
Turn it around to make it positive. So instead of making this into a nightmare, because it's really playing havoc with me, I've transformed it into something to look forward to enjoy, because it is something new, something I have to do. And yeah, there's always a way to get out of something when you get in a predicament. And this is no big predicament. This is just clutter and sorting it out and, you know, making the home livable. You know, instead of scaring everybody. Every time I buy more plants, I scare the pants off them. They think that I'm going to keep buying more and more until they can't move. But that's not what anybody wants, actually. You're going to have a big cluttered area with plants. You cannot see them, you can't get to them, you can't barely even notice if they're rotting or dying. It's just no good. You can't enjoy them like that. Anyway, I'm just going to get back to this cleaning. I've been having to deal with all the plants, right? Bit of a stress. Anyway, after that dries, it's going to hang up in its new position. Ooh, look what I found. I bought these at the Daiso store. Mini baskets. So these are going to be what the cattleyas are going to be in, because I'm going to have to move them around. During the night they have to come over here, and in the morning they can go back close to the sunny window. Okay, so I got to unpack these and transform that into just a windowsill, so there won't be all this clutter around there anymore. Anyway, I'm going to get started with that. Well, here we go. I don't know what to do with these. Ooh,
Give one up.
Thinking cap on. I'll give this one away. Okay. Now, got a lot of cattleyas and a lot of stuff hanging up. Now, I'm not going to bother with too much about this hanging stuff here. It is not my biggest problem. Okay. Let's take this one. Oh, it's doing well. Doing so well. And you're gonna come and hang out in the bedroom.
Thanks for watching. Enjoy your orchids. Bye.